Hi, Bill here. This is the update.cpp source file in my simple chess engine. Okay, let's have a look. So again, we include our global variables, which we'll use. Okay, so update piece. So update piece happens whenever a piece moves from one square to another. So it happens both when the engine is looking at a move, and also when the move is taken back. So the engine is making moves and taking back moves when it's searching variations. Okay, so what have we got here? So we're adding the key. So what this means is we're updating the key used for the hash tables. Okay, so we're updating the board arrays. So if a piece is moving to the desk square, it will now contain the value of the piece, and the colour of the desk square will now be the colour of the side that moved. Okay, so and the square the piece came from becomes empty, as does the colour, and we adjust our table scores. So you lose the score of wherever the piece started, and you get the score of the square it moves to. Okay, so if it's a pawn, it's a piece of pawn, we modify the pawn key, so that's for the pawn, updating the pawn hash table. And if it's a king, we're going to change the king location. Now, remove piece is done whenever a piece is captured, or it may happen if the pawn promotes, the pawn is removed as well as the queen being added. So this is very similar to the update piece, except it's a bit simple because we don't have to. We're only changing one square. We don't have to update two squares. So again, we subtract from the table score, and we adjust the keys and the board and the colour. Add piece is the opposite of remove piece. So again, we change the hash table key, we update the board and the colour. We add to the table score for that side, so it gets the score of the value of having a piece on that square for that side. And again, we update the key for the pawn hash table. Mate move. Okay, this is updates quite a few things. So, okay, so this happens whenever a move's made. Okay, so it'll detect on the fly whether it's the move was castling or en passant or capture, and so on. So we'll have a look. Okay, so if the king's moving two squares, it's a castling. It's attempting to castle. So if the king's in check, it's basically saying that the opponent's attacking the start square, which is where the king is, and return false. So we couldn't do the move, so the move is illegal. If the nest is G1, so this is if if F1's attacked, we know castling's illegal. We return. Otherwise, we move the rook. So we update the piece, which is a rook, from H1 to F1. If we're castling queenside, we see if D1's attacked. If it is, we return false. Otherwise, we update the rook move. And we do the same sort of things if the king went to G8 or C8. We don't need to check for colour. That's implicit from the square. Okay, so that's castling out of the way. Now what we're doing is we're assigning, what G is a pointer to the game list. So we're for that depth. So we're assigning all these values, start and desk squares. If it's a capture, what was captured, the 50 move count, the hash keys, and the starting piece. This is not used that often, but it's used for promotion. So we adjust the ply goes up, so does the history ply. Okay, so we copy the castle permissions. There's 4 castle permissions. So both white and black can castle kingside or queenside, so they're assigned the value of the castle positions from the previous ply. Then we, if it's a capture, so 6 is empty, so if the value of the square the piece moved to is less than 6, we know it's a capture. If it's a capture or we move the pawn, then we set the 50 count back to 0, otherwise we increment 50, which is used for the 50 move rule. Okay, so if it's a pawn and it's changed its column, so the column that starts not equal to the column of the dest, and the destination square is empty, so it's not making a normal capture. We know it's made an en passant capture, so depending on which side it is, we remove the invisible pawn. Otherwise, if it's a normal capture, we call remove piece to make sure everything's updated properly. And then there's a whole bunch of things which will affect the castling permission. So if you move or capture on A1, basically you're destroying white side of castling, chances of castling queen side. If you capture or move to H1, ditto goes to white castling king side, and that applies to black as well. Okay, if it's E1, if you move your king, then of course, and if it was something else on E1 moving, you know the king must have moved anyway. So that affects white's castling permission, so white loses all castling. And you do the same thing for black, which is basically this block from here to here. Then we've got, if it's a pawn, and basically if it promotes, we remove the pawn. We add the new piece, which is a queen automatically. This engine is so simple, it doesn't bother looking at under promotions. It only checks to see if they're legal at the first play by the opponent. Okay, so that updates things if it's promotion. And otherwise, we update the promotion. If the last thing happened to be a promotion, update the piece move. We flip sides, so what this does is, if side 0 it becomes 1, if it's 1 it becomes 0, ditto for the other side. But what happens here at the very end of the make move, we check to see if the king is in check, and that could have happened because the king was in check to start with, and the move didn't get it out of check, or the king may have made a move and moved into check, or a piece that was pinned to the king moved and left the king in check. So it seems to be more efficient to do this at the end of the move rather than do it at the front, because then you have to do more fiddling around to work out if a piece is pinned and so on. So if the king happens to be left in check, we take back the move, which is a bit of a nuisance, but then we return false, and we're basically saying the move was illegal, so it won't be looked at. And otherwise we return true, so that's making the move. Now taking the back is the opposite of make move, but it's a little bit simpler. So we do similar sort of things to begin with. So basically we, okay, so it's en passant, we sort of put the pawn that was captured back on the board, and if it's promotion we put the pawn back on the 7th rank and remove whatever was promoted. Otherwise we just update the moves in a backwards order, so rather than going from start to dest, we go from dest to start. If there was a capture, we've got to put the captured piece back on the board, so we add that piece. If it was castling, we then we have to, because when you castle, of course, you remove all the castling permissions. We have to make castling legal again. Okay, so make capture, recapture. So this happens in the capture search. So a recapture is a capture on the same square as something just captured. So this is going to be simpler even than take back move. So what we do is we store the start, the dest, and what's on the piece on the square in the game list. We change the ply and the history ply. We update the board and the colour. We, if it's a king that's making the capture, we change the king location. Flip sides, and again we have to make sure the recapture didn't leave the king in check for some reason, in which case it returns false, otherwise we return true. Unmake capture is very similar to make recapture. It does those same things in reverse pretty much. Get history start, that's just used to read the start history that's used in the generate moves module. Same with the get history. Generate castling. Okay, so the casting is legal. This makes it. So we're going to. So what we're going to do is we're going to add the rook move, and we're going to add Okay, so we get a score of 10 for casting kingside, a move score of 5 for casting queenside, so that's used in the move sort order. And we're just making sure the squares between the king and the rook are in fact empty, otherwise casting will be illegal. And we do the same thing for black. And then we have, and that's it. So we had update move, add piece, remove piece. We had the mate move, the unmate move, make recapture, unmake recapture, and that was about it. Okay, so thank you for watching.